What up, everybody? It's your boy Kentario, and I'm back again for another episode of Comics and Comic Books. And today we are doing our review of season 2 of the hit series on Netflix, Arcane. Now, as we're watching this video, I'm gonna go ahead and let you guys know there are going to be a lot of spoilers that are going to be mentioned from season 2. Now, if you have not already, pause this video, go back and watch my review of season 1 before you watch my review of season 2. And the question that we're really going to be trying to tackle is Arcane okay for Christians?
I don't know.
Now, because it's the most amazing thing about Arcane. Arcane has mastered the ability to come from several different standpoints, whether it's from Jinx standpoint, Vi's standpoint, Jace and Victor, Mbessa and Mel, who's her daughter, able to tell all of these different narratives, the war between Piltover and Zaun, and connect all of these things into one amazing story. But because there's so much that could be covered on this, we're solely going to focus on one particular thing, and that is going to be the Hex Tech and the Arcane. That's the main thing that we're going to focus on in this video. So to give a little summary, our story left off with Piltover and Zaun being at odds against each other. And this led to the people of Piltover being more of the rich and noble people, while those of Zaun are the poor and low class who, as we know these stories normally go, they're sick of their lifestyle, they want to change, so they wage war against those nobles that are taking advantage of them. So Piltover, after warring against Zaun, decides we can use Hex Tech, this magical technology, to actually bring peace between us rather than war. However, Jinx, in her broken mental state, decided to use her weapon to be able to attack them at Piltover while they're holding this conference to bring about peace. And she ends up taking several people's lives.
Oh my God, okay, it's happening.
Causing a whole lot of trauma for the people of Piltover. Caitlyn loses her mother. Jace is on the verge of losing Victor. All of these things are happening at the beginning of season 2. Now, this story goes forward as they are looking to, I guess you could say, the war gets even worse.
How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?
But because we have other outside powers that are looking to have influence in Piltover and to continue the war so that they can gain full control. Now, that is primarily being done through Mbessa, the mother of Mel. And so that's what's perpetuating this war. Here's the thing though, the Hex Tech and the Arcane, in spite of all of these different narratives, that is one of the main things that connects all of these characters, because all of them are either harnessing it or looking for it for their own reasons, one or another. For example, Jace and Victor started messing around with Hex Tech to be able to change things. Now, that's the funny thing about Jace. Jace started out to want to be able to harness it for good. Bad things happened between Zaun and Piltover. He wanted to use it as weapons instead. He starts to attack. Bad things happen because he attacked. He's the one that's speaking up that wants peace. And season 2 takes us forward to where now he just wants to be done with Hex Tech completely. So there's a lot that speaks to why he gets to that point. But that's his experience with Hex Tech. I'm gonna speak on Victor here in the end, but we have with Caitlyn, because she lost her mother, she wants to weaponize Hex Tech to pick up where Jace left off initially, to wage war against Zaun, specifically to get her hands on Jinx. Vi's keeping her with her boxing gloves. That's it. That's all Vi is. Vi and boxing. That's the only thing consistent and works for Vi, is her and them gloves. Everything else, ugh. But anyway, that's Caitlyn's purpose. Mbessa looking to get her hands on more of that magical weaponry power to elevate her status and gain control. We do, however, get these hints that the real motivation for her, though it's now corrupted, is for the sake of her family, is why she fights the way that she does, why she wants this power and this control. But nonetheless, that's why she wants her hands on the power of the Arcane, to be on top, but to also save her family. But then you even have characters like Jinx, who is very knowledgeable, wise with technology and even that hex tech, but she really doesn't care to. She doesn't care to have the power. She doesn't care to create these things. She's just always been capable of being able to put these things together. Whether she creates things to destroy or she can create things to save people's lives. Where it gets most interesting is that because Victor was slowly dying, Jace took him and infused him with the Hex Core. I believe I mentioned it in my review of season 1. And in infusing him with that, Victor is either healed and or resurrected from his brink of death, bringing him back, one, with longer hair, as well as like this metallic coating about his body, allowing for him to see and sense the energy of the Arcane. But not only that, he can influence the energy of the Arcane. So for example, he ended up going back to Zon, and as he saw people, because here's the thing about the Hex Tech, it's causing a negative effect on the planet that they're on. It's causing a negative effect on the plant life and a negative effect on the health of other people. But he was able to lay his hands on people and quote unquote heal them. What I mean by heal them is their ailment is gone and there's like a metallic coating and covering that comes over the scarring or the sickness or the illness, but they're either able to walk, they're able to speak, they're able to think more clearly, and things like that. The truth of the matter is, however, this was causing for them to become more of a hive mind.
What do you mean by that?
To Victor. They could see like Victor and they could sense like Victor, but they were more so one with Victor rather than being their own individual selves. This led to Victor making almost like this little peace haven where they're growing crops and no weapons are allowed, and anyone who wants help, Victor will just help. It leads to Victor's old master, who had been experimenting on the, I guess you could say, mutated corpse of Xander.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's the big, one of the bigger spoilers in my opinion. Seeing that Xander was back, I was like, what? Oh my goodness. The emotion that runs over you seeing that Xander was back. The emotion that you feel as the girls had to fight against him initially, but then you finally, oh my gosh, when he recognized who they were, bro, that right there was like this chef's kiss. If anyone hasn't seen it, you need to go watch it. Go watch it right now.
Do it!
I won't say any more about Xander being back. Just go watch it. Go watch it. But Xander, of course, is in this beast-like form. It's like a combination of literal Beast and Wolverine. He has the look of Beast and the rage of Wolverine. Like, that's the energy that he's given in this moment. And they want to help restore his mind because all he has is this bloodlust outside of seeing both Jinx and Vi. And so they take him to go see Victor. And Victor's, again, like Victor is presenting as this like either Moses-like or this messianic figure to the people of Piltover and Zon. But he spends literal time working to help and heal the mind of Xander in this process. Now, his old master ends up partnering with Mbessa. Again, she's looking for power wherever she can get it. And so where his old master is looking to get his hands back on Xander, being that he was the one that experimented on him, he wants to get his hands back on Xander because he thinks what's in Xander, whatever Hex Tech and other things have been infused with him and his blood and his soul, I guess you could even say. He wants to harness that for his own means. Guess who else wants to harness that power? Mbessa. They partner together. They go and, long story short, they attack where Victor and his little safe haven is. This leads to the quote-unquote unaliving of Xander, and I won't say her name. We'll hold a moment of silence. Victor would have argued in that moment his eyes became even more open as to what he needs to do. I want to bring some level, as much as I can, because there's so much more to it spiritually and religiously, that I will do my best to bring some clarity to it. But because this war broke out, the motivations of Victor for making changes in Piltover and Zahn to stop this violence and bring peace went to a whole nother level. Okay, let me pause there for a second, because some of the other things that's happening on the back end of all of this is that you have Jace, Echo, and the Professor, who all were looking to put an end to the hex tech. Like, they wanted to just stop it, but as they went to go mess with it, they got transported either into the future and or the multiverse.
Do you realize what this means?
That's the most I can tell you. They got transported to both the future and or the multiverse, an alternative future or the possible future. What Jace saw was a horrible future. Long story short, that led to Jace wanting to put an end to all of it. Now I'm talking full on berserker mode. When I see Victor, it's on. Like, that's all that did to it. Seeing that future just was like, when I see Victor, it's on. When I see Victor, it's on. It's not like a hatred for Victor, but it knows how bad this can get. So his resolve is like, this is what's got to be done. He pulls up and he's trying to box with Victor. Like I said, all of these things contribute, all of these things are factored in because of Hex Tech, because of the Arcane. And here's the crux of it. Man trying to get their hands on magical power, man trying to get their hands on things that they don't understand so that they can harness it for whatever reasons they are, will lead to corruption and destruction, because your carnal man will get in the way. That's the future that Jay saw. That's what I want to make clear. The future that Jay saw was a future of man constantly trying to get their hands on things they don't know, comprehend things they don't understand, thinking they get it because they get a taste of it, and then it leads to nothing more than destruction. One Bible point to make. Why do you think God split them at the Tower of Babel? Because man, as they're on one accord on what they want to do, will be to the destruction of mankind, not to their salvation. When they're operating in that type of hive mind, yeah, we got to shut that down. That's been since day one. But we're going to come back to the religious side. But what happened with Mbessa and the war that broke out of his safe haven, as well as Jace looking to completely end him, those are the contributing factors that led to Victor concluding that everyone needs to be on one accord of this hive mind in order for there to be this ultimate peace. Everyone needs to see what I see. Everyone needs to understand what I understand, the way I understand it, for things to be perfect. Okay, and that's what he attempts to do. He partners with Mbessa to do that. Mbessa being ignorant to that fact, but because she's so goal-minded in one, taking over Piltover, two, winning over her daughter Mel, who goes through her own transformation, which was amazing, by the way. Mel's narrative throughout all of this was amazing. It wasn't fully fleshed out, in my opinion, but it was fleshed out enough to where I don't have any complaints.
Jump!
But even her being a part of this and trying to stop Mbessa, all of this is such an amazing story. This final war breaks out between them as they are looking to stop Victor from putting everyone into this hive state of mind. But here's the thing that I want to point out for us as Christians when it comes to this being the main focus. It's like I said before, man trying to get their hands on a power that they've only gotten a taste of, or an aspect of the supernatural that they've only gotten a taste of, and harnessing it for their own means. Now, look, I know the story points out like some people are doing it because of loved ones. Some of them are doing it because of a lost family member. Some of them are doing it to bring peace. Others are doing it to wage war. No matter what the motivation is, the motivations do not speak to the devastation that the outcome itself brings. There's this saying, and this is a bit political, but because Arcane is political, there's a pursuit of equality of opportunity, and primarily with your more radical leftists, there's a pursuit of an equality of outcome, right? That if my aim is to do one thing, then I have to be guaranteed my outcome because of what my aim is. But that's not how life works. You could be aiming towards something, but if you don't put enough effort towards what you're working towards, when you've been presented with the opportunity and you fail at it, you shouldn't be rewarded with what the outcome could be if you've done it well. I think because I have these intentions, what my motivations are, then no matter what the outcome outcome is I am justified in it, what I am pursuing. That is not the case, because again, it ultimately would lead to the destruction of a people. Remember how I mentioned the Tower of Babel? When humanity is on one accord towards what they're aiming towards, God even says there's nothing that man can't do. But what was man trying to do in that moment? Man was trying to become God. That's the thing with this hive mind narrative that is being portrayed in season 2 of Arcane. We're going to become of one mind. We're going to become one with God. We are going to finally be at peace. No more pain, no more suffering, no more violence. Everyone will be healed. Everyone will be happy because we're all on one accord. But here's the thing of it. That's not, I want to make this clear because I know a lot of secular people would take it and run with it in this perspective. That's not what Christianity believes. That's not what Christianity teaches. That's not what the true and living God, Yahweh, the Almighty, desires. God the Father, His Son Jesus, and the Holy Spirit. That is not what they want us to have with Him. It's not us just being this hive mind, just thinking how He thinks, doing what He wants us to do. Well, I mean, we do what He wants us to do, but we yet still maintain a sense of our own individuality. Your individuality is lost in the concept of what they're portraying here with Jace in them. That is not Victor, what Victor is trying to fulfill. That is not what heaven looks like. These narratives, as a matter of fact, I have begun to see more and more and more. On a low level, you get that in Naruto, where everyone can just be dreaming. They can escape their suffering by all being put into this deep sleep where they all see the most happiest thing that they could possibly see, and they would feed the tree, and for all eternity, all they would see is a happy, peace, loving, wonderful things that they want to see. That's a little bit of it, but not completely. Another series where I see this more connected to this same narrative is a series known as The 100. It didn't start out that way, but the series ended in that way, where the people end up encountering these supernatural deities or entities that want to bring everyone under this one hive mind where there's peace, no more suffering, no more pain, and everyone is just happy, if you will. And of course, this leads to your other characters saying, no, the trueness of being human is the pain, is the suffering, is our flaws, is this, and is that. Now, this is where it's not a conflict biblically. This is actually something to bring into perspective the need of the gospel. That's what's powerful about this. Although we don't agree with the narrative on either side, whether, hey, we're just human, we're meant to be flawed and suffering and make mistakes, blah, 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 or we don't agree with the hive mind, either way, both are opportunities to share the gospel. You see, with this hive mind mentality, that is more so linked with, and I could be wrong because I have not found concrete evidence for what religious system this falls under. So if you have more corrected information, give it to me. But it's possible that this falls more along the lines of Eastern paganism, of this we are all one mentality, but I was not able to find a clear, concise source for this mentality or perspective. I wasn't able to find anything that speaks to what those inspirations were, leading to them using that in these narratives. But like I said, it's being used more and more in certain stories. And I just want to make it clear, that's not what it's like to be a Christian, and that's not what we're striving towards, and that's not what heaven looks like. You want to know what heaven looks like? Here are a couple of verses that I would recommend to give you an idea of what heaven looks like. Now, even on the other hand of like, hey, we're humans, we're flawed, we're going to make mistakes. That's what it means to really be alive, is for us to live out our life in the midst of that. Now, that does border on what it means to be a Christian, or what it means to live in this world but not of this world, is that we're still going to suffer, we're still going to make mistakes, we have to be thankful for God's grace. But the thing of it is, we're striving towards the mark of the high calling in Jesus, striving to be better than who we are when we make these mistakes. If you're not careful with that type of narrative of we're human, we're flawed, and we make mistakes, you make the mistake of justifying flaws with that being the case. What's funny is I actually just preached about this today, about how God was speaking to Moses in Exodus chapter 4. I believe it's I want to say verse 9 or 10, but it's in Exodus chapter 4, and Moses is making the excuse of his speech impediment as to why he couldn't speak for God. But God tells him, did I not give you a mouth? Did I not make man's mouth? Did I not make the dumb? Did I not make the blind? Did I not make the deaf? What's interesting about this is God's not saying to him, did I not make these people whole? Did I not heal them? God is saying, did I not make these people as broken as they are? And in him making that statement of them being broken, it means that God can still function through them even though they have a brokenness. If God says, I want you to go and walk this way, you can't say, well, I can't see, so I can't walk. No, I said walk this way. And because God declared it, we can go and do these things. A lot of people would rather us justify a person's lack because of their weakness and us simply accommodate based off of that, when that's not the case. We ought to yes, as believers, support and care for the widows and the poor and the lost. But at the same time, we don't justify not, as Jesus would say, take up thy bed and walk. We don't justify you staying in that bed simply because you don't want to get up anymore, or simply because you feel like the government is corrupt, or because you feel like all of humanity is meant to destroy themselves anyway. You can't operate off of nihilism. You can't operate off of these weak mentalities. Man getting their hands on a power they don't understand will lead to their destruction. But when we are being faced with the things that we can't control, those things that we cannot understand, the ultimate one that we can seek for that understanding, for that power, for that strength, for even in harnessing our weaknesses is God, because God knows us. Like he told Moses, did I not make them? Guess what? I'm here to tell you, our God made you. And in spite of how he made you, he wants to work with you, not to take advantage of you and simply control you and make you of a hive mind, but to empower you in your individuality so that you can be a part of the one body to make a difference in this world in the way that the Lord knows will work the best, and not lead to the downfall of man, but lead to their salvation, because he knows far better than Jace about the future of humanity. Guys, I know there was a lot for y'all to take in regards to the series of Arcane Season 2, and whether or not this series is okay for Christians. Me personally, I would say yes. I know one of the things that would be a looming factor, other than the fact that magic and technology is being used, is going to be the fact that one of the primary relationships is a lesbian relationship. I do think that's not something that a Christian would watch and like to see, but I think that it is a reality of what Christians will be exposed to as we live out this world, as we live in this world and not of this world. Does not mean we should act like we're not going to see those things be a factor. And besides, I'll just say this. I know I'm gonna make it short, but I'll just say this. Even though that is like one of the MC relationships in the series, they are like the worst characters in the series. I'm sorry. I don't mean poorly written worst. It's when you have a person that's like that. They're just so annoying. They're wishy-washy. They get on my nerves, and they really just get in the way. Like, that's kind of how I felt about Caitlyn and Vi. Like, that was just me. Yes, there was even an intimate scene in the series. But again, me personally, I don't believe that would rob a Christian of the ability to see the power and the message within this series if they spent their time watching Arcane Season 2. So I hope this has opened your eyes to what you can expect in Season 2. I pray that this has blessed you on what you will encounter in Arcane Season 2. I thank you guys for watching this video. I actually hope this would have been shorter, but nonetheless, make sure that you guys please hit that like button if you like this video as well. Make sure that you hit that subscribe button so that we can grow this platform and surpass Corey Kenshin. Thank you guys for joining me, and I hope you have a blessed one. Peace.